Hello everyone, this is Michael, who will be tutoring both biology and chemistry. Let me first introduce a bit about myself. So I'm currently reading medicine in the University of Cambridge, and I have received offers for medicine from both schools in UK and Hong Kong. In the UK, I got offers from both Imperial College London as well as the University College of London, so UCL. And in Hong Kong, I got offers from both CUHK, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, as well as HKU, the University of Hong Kong. I've also received scholarship grants from both schools in Hong Kong for medicine. In terms of my academic qualifications, I had received 4 A stars when I took my A-level papers in 2024, and they include biology, chemistry, mathematics, psychology, and Chinese. In terms of my experiences in tutoring students, I have been tutoring since I got into uni, and I have students who had very nice results in their exams, and I also have students who got their conditional offers in HKU for medicine. Today is a 5-minute free video, which will be going through a past paper question, specifically an experimental question, which I know many of you are afraid of. This question is taken from 2019, question 4 from Unit 2 paper, and we'll be looking at B2, describe an investigation that confirmed the effect of a lack of magnesium ions on the phenotype of wheat plants. So before we do the question, we must define the question first. So we must understand what is phenotype and what is genotype. So to remind ourselves, phenotype in Chinese, that is 表型, and genotype is 基因型嘛. So phenotype is the result of the interaction between the genome and the environment, whereas genotype is the result that is governed only by genome. Right, so whenever you see these kind of questions, the thing that I always tell my students is to follow a skeleton which guides you to write these kind of answers. So the first two things that you should always mention is the IV and DV. IV 是你的字变形 and DV 是你的音变形. Okay, so IV is independent variable. So that is the condition which you're changing. In this case, which is whether or not you have magnesium ions. And for the dependent variable, the 因变, that is what you're trying to measure. And in this case, that will be the phenotype. And in this question, it does not specify what kind of phenotype that they're looking for. And in my opinion, the easiest one is always going to be growth. And because they do not mention which phenotype that is, you could write anything. And in my opinion, growth is the easy one that you can write about. So we use growth as our phenotype that we're trying to measure. Right, after identifying our IV and DV, the third thing that we're finding is the control variables, CV. So what are we controlling? For the sake of exam, you must have at least 2 variables plus 1 explanation. So details of how you're actually controlling that variable. And why do we need to have variables? Because we need to eliminate other effects which affect our DV, in this case, the growth of a plant. And what could they be? They could be like abiotic factors, like light, like temperature, like pH. And let me give you an explanation. So for example, if we're considering light, then let's imagine we have a light source, maybe like a 电灯, 然后我们有我们的 plant. So the distance between the plant and the light source, it must be the same for all plants to make sure that they receive the same light, isn't it? Right, so after talking about those 3 points, the fourth point is about the detail of how are you actually measuring DV. So how do you measure your dependent variable? And in this case, because we're talking about growth, so every time you see growth, always remember that you're trying to measure the percentage rate of growth. And the reason is because we are trying to find a growth, but then we have different baseline of the plant. Therefore, we must measure the percentage rate The fifth point that we can talk about is the control group. And in this case, we will be using a positive control group, which basically what it means is that we have a specific condition, 一个特定的 condition, and then that should produce a no result, okay? And in this case, our specific condition will be all mineral ions. Then we can use it to compare with the lack of magnesium ions, so no magnesium ions. And that could tell us what the effect of the magnesium ions is. I apologize for not explaining 4 and 5 in a lot of details because of the time constraint. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to go to my other videos where I will have time to explain more of them. The final point, which is also very important, is about repeating the experiment. And there are two reasons why you should repeat your experiment. The first is because you can find a mean, which makes it easier and more presentable in terms of mathematics. The second point is because you can identify anomaly, so results that are very weird, so it does not suit with the other results. And by identifying them, we can eliminate them, so that increases our reliability. So to conclude, whenever you see these kind of questions, follow this skeleton, and I could assure that you will be getting very high marks. This marks the end of this 5-minute video lecture. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you do, you're more than welcome to enroll to my other courses in both biology and chemistry. And I look forward to seeing many of you then. Have a very nice day ahead. Bye-bye.